All right, what's up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be comparing the GRAU and the Kilo head-to-head. After the recent GRAU nerf, I definitely think the Kilo is up there as far as one of the top-tier guns. Definitely a lot more competitive with the GRAU due to a lot of reasons. Obviously, you guys should know the GRAU got a pretty massive nerf. I do want to talk about what actually happened to the GRAU first, because it definitely plays a big factor in what makes this gun now competitive with a lot of other guns versus before it was a top tier weapon. They actually lowered the damage at the mid-range from 23 to 22. Actually makes the GRAU have one more bullet to kill now after the buff, only in Warzone, which is definitely a good change. So your time to kill at mid-range is going to go down by about 10%, so kill about 10% slower, which is definitely a massive decrease to me when you compare it to like a gun like the RAM, the M4, the Kilo, and the M13, which have a very fast time to kill. By lowering the time to kill on the ground on that mid-range is definitely going to make it not as effective. As far as the overall range, it's about 10% worse. As far as with the Archangel barrel, it's now 15% worse than before, and the Nexus barrel is 17% worse than before. So definitely a pretty big negative for both the barrels to get a massive decrease to the range, which was obviously the number one reason to GRAU. And the recoil pattern is a little bit worse. Along with that, they also extremely nerfed no stock, which is probably my favorite attachment for the GRAU. So it's definitely going to change my class setup for the gun. But as far as comparing these two guns head to head, the thing I find most to do is to take a look at that best class setup for each gun, which is going to dictate the recoil, the range, obviously the mobility section of it, and obviously the exact range and what gives you the best time to kill. Obviously, you guys know the GRAU got a pretty massive change. We're still once again keeping it up, but the one thing with the GRAU now is you must use the Commando. The recoil is not as stable, so we're using the Archangel barrel with the Commando foregrip, the monolith suppressor, the 60-round mag, and as far as that fifth attachment is optional. I like to use FMJ. It's one of my new favorite attachments. If not, you can run the VLK optic, which we're going to use it on the Kilo, or using something like the rubberized grip to help make the recoil a little bit more controllable. But those are my three favorite attachments to use for it. As far as for the Kilo, we're going to be using the Prowler long barrel, the 60-round mag, Commando foregrip, monolith suppressor. And the biggest thing I've recently found to use for all my guns, specifically the Kilo, is the optic 3x VLK sight. Is definitely an excellent attachment, and it 100% changes the way your recoil shoots with the weapons. And obviously in Warzone, getting a 3x zoom is going to help you hit your shots at long range. So as far as talking about the biggest factor, which is not something that's public info until you actually test it, the bullet velocity is actually significantly better on the Kilo versus the GRAU. It's about 10 to 15% better, which is going to allow you to hit your shots better at long range. So you take a look at that overall accuracy, which is the biggest reason a lot of people wanted to use the GRAU. You guys can see the screenshot on the screen. On the left, obviously the Kilo basically has no recoil. And obviously using the Commando stacked with the Prowler and the optic sight, we're going to get a huge increase to our stabilization, which is going to help your accuracy, able to hit as many shots as possible, and obviously get a lower recoil. And obviously stacked with that bullet velocity, in my opinion, you're going to be able to hit your shots better at long range with the Kilo, which is going to make it better, in my opinion. The accuracy, obviously with the GRAU nerf, they nerfed both parts of the accuracy as far as the overall, and then with the Nexus and Archangel barrel. So it definitely kicks a lot more vertically, but is pretty easy to control. So I think the GRAU is pretty much par with it, which previously pre-patch I would definitely never say. I would say the GRAU beats it, but I definitely think with this class setup on the Kilo, the overall accuracy category is a toss-up. But I definitely think the Kilo probably does take it due to the fact that it has a better bullet velocity, which is going to help your overall accuracy at those longer ranges. And as far as the most important factor we take a look at here is that overall time to kill. So with that GRAU getting that nerf of making the damage point 1 less at mid-range, you guys can see on the screen right now, what that does is basically takes these guns from, as you guys can see, they pretty much are competitive at that close range, both within 2 or 3 meters of each other, and obviously the time to kill is almost identical. But with that damage point drop up at that mid-range, that first damage drop up was about 50 meters up to about 80 meters. The Kilo was going to completely outclass the GRAU as far as the overall time to kill. It shoots faster and has a higher damage. Therefore, your time to kill is going to be a little bit faster. Previously pre-patch, and now after the patch update is going to be a lot faster, which is definitely, in my opinion, what makes the Kilo better. You guys can see the Kilo is obviously in orange, the GRAU in pink. And obviously with that Kilo being very good in range and the GRAU getting nerfed, is definitely going to be very competitive as far as the range. It's definitely going to hold that mid-range time to kill anywhere from 45 to 80 meters, especially in Warzone. You're trying to get a lot more long-range fights. The Kilo is definitely going to take the time to kill by a long shot now, which previously the GRAU was pretty competitive with this. That's definitely a big factor for me. The Kilo is obviously going to be a little bit more accurate in my personal opinion. And then obviously with that time to kill, the Kilo is going to be at every single range and significantly better at that mid-range, which is what makes it excellent. So as far as talking about the exact ranges, this is where the GRAU outclassed every weapon. The Kilo actually beats the GRAU now. At that first damage range off, the GRAU is about 42 meters, which is what got nerfed. The Kilo is about 45 meters, so a little bit about 10% better. Obviously, 3 meters you really won't notice in game. And as far as the second range, they're both about 80 meters, which is identical. So it having a faster fire is going to make it have a faster time to kill. The ranges are identical. Kilo is obviously faster time to kill. Obviously, in my personal opinion, better accuracy, and it has a little bit better damage. So far, it's taking all 4 of the categories, which normally the GRAU would beat it. But the biggest category and the reason why I think the GRAU is the best gun is obviously the mobility. So when you take a look at those class setups, what you guys are going to be getting with the Kilo class is about a 9% slower movement, which is going to take you down to about 85% movement speed, which is actually pretty low. As far as your aim down sight time, it's going to be about 367 milliseconds, which you're going to lose about 100 milliseconds of aim down sight time with this class setup. But this class is built for mid to long range, which is why the aim down sight time is pretty low. The biggest difference is if you do like the iron sights, you can swap out the optic for like the tac laser, which would make aim down sight time a lot faster. As far as your stray speed is about 8% slower, which is pretty average. Taking a look at the GRAU class, the movement speed is about 8% slower, which puts you at 89% movement speed. So the GRAU is going to be able to move around a lot faster. If you're in the late game or early game, you're trying to rush around and get a lot more kills, this GRAU class is going to have a 4% faster movement speed, which is, in my opinion, very massive. You will definitely notice it. Aim down sight time is about 2 frames faster, which is about 10% faster than the Kilo class, which is a little on the slow end for an assault rifle class setup, but still somewhat average. And your stray speed is 8% slower once again, but is the same as the Kilo class, so it's still a little bit faster. So as far as that GRAU class, you have 4% faster movement speed, a 10% faster aim down sight time, and 5% faster stray speed. So it beats it in all 3 of the mobility categories, which is definitely what makes, in my opinion, the GRAU one of the best guns, if not the best to use. The one difference which I did find with this Kilo class is if you actually swap that 16 long barrel in there instead of the 19 inch, it definitely is going to make it a lot better. You're going to negate that movement speed completely, so it's going to have no negated movement speed. Your aim down sight time still going to be a little bit slow, not as slow, and you're going to have no effect on your stray speed. In exchange to get a slightly worse range, a slightly bit more of recoil. So when you're stacking with the commando and the optic sight, it's going to help you recoil a lot. This attachment does have a recoil control improvement, so I found myself using the 16, which is definitely an excellent attachment. But when you're trying to stack up to the GRAU, definitely want to use the longest long barrel possible. But if you're playing Warzone, definitely that 16 is going to be pretty competitive because you're not really going to lose any movement speed at all with it. And obviously your aim down sight time is going to be a little bit better, and your stray speed is going to be a little better. So it's definitely going to be able to compete with that GRAU. And if you put the 16-inch barrel on there, it's basically going to beat the GRAU in every single category in the game: mobility, accuracy, range, damage, time to kill, aim down sight time, and movement speed. In my opinion, why I think the Kilo is the biggest gun on the rise. So it's definitely an excellent gun. If you guys did learn anything new in the video, you guys want to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Make sure you guys use code Trapgod on all of your SCUF and GFUEL purchases. And make sure you guys leave a comment down below. Which gun do you guys actually think is better? Are you guys still using the GRAU? Have you guys switched it up? M4, Ram 7, even using the AMAX? Also, if you guys want me to make any in-depth class setup videos, I'm actually working on a bunch of them right now, like the AK, the AMAX, the M4. If you want a specific gun that I have not covered yet, leave that down in the comment section below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.